Welcome to the Did You Die podcast. This is Darren Boot Clark coming to the mean streets of Villago in COVID-19 season. Obviously, it's crazy. We've been through a lot, and today we are doing it through Zoom, and it's a great product, and it hasn't slowed us down at all. And today I've got Chris Rylant, a friend of mine from high school. She went to SFA when I went there for a little bit and then transferred on. She's a nurse, a mom, a loyal friend. Just an all-around great lady, amazing person, and she has got one heck of a story. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Excited.
You bet. It's I knew I wanted to reach out to you and see if you're okay telling your story, and you immediately were. And so before we get too deep into it, let's just figure out, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, like you said, I'm a nurse, but I'm also a mom, and I'm coming up on our 25th wedding anniversary for my husband and I. And so 2 kids, one in college and one in 5th grade, and busy with work. And now they're all home with me right now. So,
Right.
yeah. So, yeah.
Boomerang.
So stay very busy. So I'm used to being at home working by myself, but yeah.
Right. And
full house now.
So you like to vacation. Where's your favorite vacation spot?
Okay, Destin, Florida is by far our favorite. So, and we just go there several times a year. It's just kind of my getaway and just peaceful
Sure.
zone there. So
It's like 10 hours to get there, right? If you drive.
About 10 hours, yeah. Sometimes we fly, sometimes, and usually we drive. So it's easy.
Yep.
It's an easy place, but yeah.
Well, great. Well, the But Did You Die podcast is all about people who have gone through challenging things, and out of the hardest times forges the strongest of people, men and women. And people come to this podcast to learn about that. And life is hard, but people are resilient, people are strong, and you really find out what you're made of through the toughest times. And if you would, please share your But Did You Die story.
Thank you. I'd love to. And I know it'll probably be a little tough for me to do it, but, and I've shared it, many times over the years, but, I've kind of sailed through life with, just everything being fine, nothing tragic, just everything was going along as planned. But in 2006, my mom passed away from cancer. It was something that she battled with for many years. And, being a nurse, I thought she braved it really well. I thought that the family members, we handled it very well. But then after she was gone, my dad just had a spiraling deterioration. He just really went to depression, just really had a hard time with it. So at the same time, I've got I had a twin sister that in this same year, this was going into 2008. And before I jump into that, I remember on, the very first church service we had in 2008, our pastor said, "Everything is great in 2008. And I'll tell you what, I beg to differ after the story I'm about to tell y'all. So in 2008, like I said, my dad had just started really having some tough depression with my mom passing. And then my sister, who was a flight attendant, she was just kind of battling a couple other things. I think depression was one of them. But it's kind of tough because with me being the nurse, trying to be the strong one for the family, it was tough. So basically, without going into a really long, detailed story, in the summer of 2008, my dad ended up in the hospital and eventually in ICU. And at the same point, my twin sister ended up in the hospital in ICU. So completely unrelated, but it was an incredibly tough time for us, especially since I was a nurse at that same hospital. So we thought that my dad was getting better and that he could have gotten to go home. Kathy, my sister, was showing signs of improvement as well. So, and with me being the nurse and just, I'm always an optimistic
Hmm.
person.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought, you know what, they're gonna walk out of here. They're both. My sister was 38. My dad was, late 60s at that point. And I was saying, okay, we've got technology, we've got great medicine. They're gonna walk out of here. Well, on I think it was 4th of July that evening, got a call from the hospital. My dad went into cardiac arrest, and they couldn't
Oh
he couldn't
no.
be helped. Couldn't
Yeah.
survive him. So at that point, my sister was still in ICU, and she had begun to improve. However, she wasn't to the point where she knew that my dad was in the ICU. My dad never knew that she was in the ICU. I know that sounds crazy, but between them both going in and out of just being very ill,
Hmm.
we just felt like, why give my dad bad news and why give my sister bad news? But after my dad passed away, oh my gosh, Kathy was showing improvement. Kind of, she was on so many medications that we just still again felt that it probably wasn't the time to tell her that dad had passed away.
Yeah.
But after, the nurses, it was just strange. The ICU nurses, and I'm not gonna fault, they were fantastic. They worked so hard. They were just really insistent on us telling her, because she kept saying, where's my dad? Has he called, or, has he come by? So they were really insistent on us telling her that, hey, your father's passed away. She really needs to know that. But as soon as, so we did, we finally agreed to it. And I kid you not, after we told her, she just went downhill.
Really.
I mean, it was just like within 24 hours that, and I think it was probably within days that she passed away.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you two are twins, and you were
Hmm.
incredibly close. I mean, I'm sure you
Yes.
felt it. Right? Twins
Hmm.
know what the other one is going through,
Yes.
and your these are your coworkers telling you what to do, and your
Exactly.
family, and that had to be tough.
It was tough, yes, because we
Um,
thought, we thought that, she was 38, she was gonna, walk out of there. So
right. And
yes.
my God, I mean, what? That- I don't know what to say, but other than that, had to challenge you a little bit, afterwards.
Hmm. Absolutely. It.
And I mean, that's a big decision, and you make those decisions in your work life every day, right? You've been on the other side of the fence advising family members, and now you're the
Yes.
one being advised, and the outcome didn't go in the favor, right? And
Yes.
so you're
Yes.
grieving two deaths. You're you've lost probably your best friend, your
Hmm.
sister, um, and I mean, how did you handle it?
So, well, there wasn't much time to handle it, and the reason why I say that was, we were preparing for two funerals,
Hmm.
and we had the funerals in Wisconsin, where we grew up, where we were from.
Right.
Um, so we were having the funeral in Wisconsin for both of them, and I remember sitting in a restaurant about to board the plane back to Houston, and they were talking about this hurricane that was about to be, was it Ike? It was Ike.
Yes. Oh my God.
So, yeah, so literally we're sitting there going, you must be kidding. It is like Spaghetti Miles is like straight for Houston.
Oh yeah.
Um, so we got home, and we were preparing for this hurricane that was going to hit. And I don't know if you and I were, if I was even on Facebook back then, but our house, it was like a tornado hit, like a small tornado. So we had water pouring in, and
Oh,
basically was rebuilding our house. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about all this was that I was pregnant with Grant.
Good
during,
night.
yes, the whole time with, I know, I told you this would be a long story, but the whole time that, going through with my dad, my sister, and then this hurricane. So, but, I knew I was fine, but the reason why I want to talk about my faith was that kind of went through life that, I was a believer, always went to church, I did what I was supposed to, but I kind of never really kind of was like the, slap in the face type thing that, hey, God is real.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't till, so we made it through, the, the deaths, the hurricanes, the rebuilding of our house. And we got back into our house about a week before Grant was due. So, and I know our church, they're so wonderful. They were contacting us through, just through everything from our, being our small group,
Mm-hmm.
to just members of our church, can we bring you food? And I kind of just turned away from that. I didn't want to talk to anybody at that point about kind of, what was happening. It was too much. And I think I was too proud of a person to say, I just didn't want people to come to the house. And I don't know. I just wanted to put it all into a box and,
Compartmentalize it and just deal with it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was better for me to put those problems on a shelf and just
Mm-hmm.
keep going on with life. But when Grant was born, he was an emergency C-section on December 20th in 2008.
God.
And and
I'm laughing only because
and,
I'm not crying. I mean, I don't. I want to see your cape. You're Wonder Woman.
And I promise there's a silver lining to this whole story. But Grant ended up in the NICU after birth. Yes, we were given, and here I'm a nurse. I was never a NICU nurse, but here and I've worked in postpartum for many years. It's always so fun to wheel the moms out with all their balloons, holding their new baby,
Mm-hmm.
going out to the car. And there would be those moms that, their babies weren't coming home. They were going to the NICU. So, sorry. But so I was that mom.
Yeah.
So Grant went to the NICU, and we were given every diagnosis from, he could be disabled, or he might only live 2 months. It was just like so much information being poured on us. And like I said, being a nurse, and just to hear that and just not understanding, I thought, oh gosh, I know everything medically. You think you do, but then when you're having to Google everything that these doctors are telling you, and they were fantastic doctors, it was just frightening as can be. So they were waiting on some they finally were able to kind of, if they needed to get some testing done on Grant,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the ultimate, we would know what to do next.
Right.
So it was going to be a few hours before they could, before we would get the results.
Oh.
And so I remember the doctor said, hey, take a break, because we were there, day and night, and I never wanted to leave.
No, yeah.
And I just remember going home, and my phone rang. And so in the NICU, you can't have a cell phone, obviously.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard to talk to people at that point. Family members were calling. Everyone wanted to know. And it's just, it was hard to get the word out because we were inside there so much. But my phone rang, and it was our pastor at our church. And I had avoided everybody for so long, from the time that my dad went in the hospital until I just didn't want to talk to anybody. Again, it's hard to explain, everything that's going on was getting, it's just coming at you so fast in the hospital. But I said, I need to get this call. I'd kind of been putting them off for so long. And I was telling our pastor, I said, I was trying to kind of fill him in. And I just remember saying that I'm done. That we've been handed so much this year that I'm just done. And he said, and I promise it gets happy. He said, I just want to pray right now. And so we did. And I know you say that, or you hear the saying that, just let it go. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I just felt like complete relief. And we went back to the hospital. And the nurses came up to me and said, we don't know what's happening, but his labs are improving.
Amen.
Improving, like he was getting better. Mm-hmm. And these nurses who are, NICU nurses for just decades, they said, and without them knowing that I talked to anybody, mm-hmm. they said, I was like, they're like, this is almost like a miracle. We've never seen laboratory data improve this quickly. And then I told them the story. And I think I had the entire NICU crying.
Oh, you got me crying.
So,
praise God.
So, yeah, absolutely. So that completely changed my feeling about faith and God and prayers, and that they do work.
Oh yeah.
And we've got a very healthy, very smart 10-year-old with no medical history since then. So it's an absolute
wow.
And I wasn't gonna cry today, and look, I'm bawling.
I think, hey, that's an emotional. Out of every, they say it's darkest before dawn, and that was damn dark. Yeah. And it was dark for a long time. And I think you had to take that shelf off the box and let it go, right? I mean,
yes,
you carried that weight, and yeah, I mean, when you let go and let God, and then you don't go back for it, that's when the big stuff happens, right? Yeah. You had a hell of a miracle. It was a miracle, and I know you're a nurse. These are doctors and nurses. They're scientists. You're data driven, and but God controls the data.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He can turn the negative into a positive real quick. And I've seen it personally, and my God, that is amazing. I mean, I've been following you guys, and Grant's he's all over the place, he's happy to be, and he's a model. My God.
He's doing fantastic. He's doing, yes. And I think that ever since that day, if anytime, I've ever encountered someone that says, you know what, I'm not a believer. And I just say, I'm just, this is just my story. Mm-hmm. It's, you may believe it, you may not, but it's just, and ever since then, Darren, I just feel like I can handle anything. And I know that's tough to say. And I mean, I know it's tough, and I just feel like you just give it to God, and then,
well, you wore the armor of God. You got that armor on you, and you know that nothing's impossible.
Yes.
I mean, oh my God. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, wow. I'm kind of really, that's a lot. That is, yes. I am so enamored and impressed with what you did and how you did it. And I know your husband was right there with you, and but I know you're a tough lady, and you always have been. I mean, but you're, at some point, you got to give it up and give it to God. And when you did, it turned around sounds like on a dime.
Literally on a dime. And it just gave me sort of that closure for, gosh, my mom, my dad, my
Mhm.
sister, that, God is real.
Oh
And
yeah.
there is something bigger than us and a much better place that we'll end up in. And yes, so
And they're
it just
there,
kind of,
right? They're there.
yes.
They're dancing in
Mhm.
the fields. And now I know you, I'm sure you feel their presence, you know?
Yes, yes,
I'm sure you do.
absolutely. Hmm.
And
It still is, days are hard, but I'm like, you know what? I should call my dad, or
mhm.
whenever something needs to be fixed or whatever. I'm like, oh, but then you're like, oh, or I should call Kathy. I
Yeah.
still have those, gosh, it's been 10, 12 years,
12
and I
years.
still,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So fast forward to now.
Okay.
Um, let's talk about, I mean, you're a hard worker. We talked about before this, you're a serial entrepreneur. Um, you've started a couple businesses. You're a
Mhm.
nurse consultant, and you've been doing that, what, 20 years?
20 years. Hmm.
And then you decided that wasn't enough with being a mom and a wife and a nurse consultant, that you started What Fun Selfies, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
tell us a little bit about that.
So we'd used a selfie booth at a few events,
Hmm.
and we were like, what is this? This is kind of fun. And so we had a golf tournament coming up, and we contacted that company, and they'd gone out of business. And I started calling around, and it wasn't what we wanted or what we had before. And I thought,
Hmm.
I can figure this out. I thought, gosh, if it's a one opportunity that I could think that there's a need for, and how fun would this be? And, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, oh well.
Yeah.
And it just exploded, basically. So it was great. So we're ready to jump back on into it. So,
Right. COVID
yeah.
happened, but you did our reunion, and that was a hit. I mean, that was there was a line the whole time. It was crazy.
People, yes. And there's some technology to where, I think we can do it touchless too. So I think we'll come out of this whole COVID thing okay. And people like to have parties and like to have fun. So I think it'll be
Yeah.
good.
And you started with one.
Start with one.
Now how many do you have?
Three.
Oh my God. And that's been what,
Yeah.
2 years? How long's that been going?
It's coming up on 2 years.
And
Yes,
so when COVID hit, obviously parties stopped. And
they
so
did.
you yet again reinvented yourself and are the balloon lady.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Tell us a little bit
So,
about balloons, because
oh gosh, I love them. I know it's crazy. So with the photo booth, um, I've been asked to do some balloon garlands as part of it. And originally I thought, no, or I'll, contract that out, have someone else do that. I thought, wait, I'm leaving some money on the table. I need to go and figure this out. And I love it. It's just fun because there would be events that I would go to, and they would have balloons there. I'm like, oh, it's just fun, and kids love it, adults love it. So I figured it out. Gosh, did a lot of practicing, and then it just kind of took off too. So that's part of with the photo booth or separate. So
is it
just
now,
fun.
is that under the What Fun umbrella?
It is. It is.
So y'all go check this out, because this isn't a couple balloons hanging from the ceiling. This is, and she does, she's been during COVID, she's been turn her kitchen into the balloon factory. And she makes
Yes.
these elaborate arches and beautiful. I mean, it looks like a party right there. It's awesome. I love it. And you do them, you're like me, you get up real early. And I'm looking on Facebook, and you're going live doing this video, making these balloons. And it's awesome. I love it.
It's
I mean,
fun.
you can't not be happy with a room full of balloons.
Oh
And
my
you,
gosh.
and
I
you
know.
gave some away, right? You did some.
Yes. So during this whole shutdown for the month of April, it was just, I'd hear these stories about these little kids who were having, or adults that were having these parties that were canceled. They want to have the skating rink, they couldn't have it there. These kids were just upset. So
Mhm.
total, I think we ended up with 40 balloon garlands that we donated
Oh
to
my
kids
gosh.
having those car parades, or, family parties inside their house, or just a backdrop. So yeah, it
It's
was is busy and fun.
it's really cool. And you're a hell of a personality on on Facebook and doing your videos are awesome. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
you're innately funny, you know. I mean, it's,
Crazy. Oh my gosh.
and then you fast forward them, and it's like 100 miles an hour. The balloons are going up. It's awesome.
I know. I need to get back into doing some. I want to do Cinco de Mayo. I've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So yes.
So you're set for after post COVID with the balloons, and
Yes.
COVID during the balloons, and then oh, what fun! The selfie booth will take off again.
Yes, we still have bookings through late 2021.
Oh wow.
So,
okay.
Yes, and then a lot of stuff that instead of getting just canceled, they were just rescheduled till later in the year or down the road. So we did lose some, but understandably so.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited about, got a bunch of weddings coming up, some big events. So hopefully, fingers crossed that, they'll come back. So.
And if somebody wanted to inquire about the photo booth or the balloons, how would they get a hold of you?
So they can find me at Oh What Fun on Facebook or Oh What Fun Selfie on Instagram.
Okay.
I do everything through there.
That's awesome. So a total online business.
Totally online. Yes.
That's great. That's great. Well, Chris, thank you so much for sharing your story. I knew some of it. I didn't know all of it. I didn't know the grant piece of it. And that's kind of the silver lining, right? I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
he's the gift that keeps on giving. I mean,
absolutely.
God brought you a treasure. We have two treasures, but
yeah.
He put you through the ringer to get this one.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being real and sharing. And I know there's young moms out there that are going through this and dealing with it and showing. I mean, the message here is let go and let God. And you can be as strong as anything, but God is stronger than everything. And I think you're a testament to that, and that's a duo that couldn't be beat, right? Your strength coupled with his, and
yes.
My gosh, it's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I appreciate your time.